Okay, we are live. We are live. Just a quick little live stream talk, all things boxing as usual. Obviously, Joshua versus Fury's looking a lot more positive. We've got a great weekend coming up as well with some great fights. Okolie versus Glowacki, of course. The return of Artur Beterbiev, who's my favourite fighter. Vergil Ortiz Jr. versus Maurice Hooker. Some good fights this weekend, man. Some good fights this weekend. But big up to Bump of K in the building. Salute to Bump of K. H Money dropping by as well. Big up to H Money. Hopefully you guys are doing well, man. And hopefully you're looking forward to this weekend's boxing. Some good fights this weekend, man. I'm actually looking forward to the Lawrence Okolie fight. Big step up for him against Krzysztof Glowacki. Former world champion, experienced, decent puncher. He's been there, seen it, done it. Whereas Lawrence Okolie, of course, is on the come-up, and it's a massive step up. So that's going to be an interesting fight. I believe Lawrence Okolie is too fresh and will be too physically strong for Glowacki. But nevertheless, interesting fight in my opinion. Interesting fight. But yeah, big up to H Money, man. Big up to Ricardo Martinez. Salute to you, Ricardo. Ricardo, do you have a channel? If you have a channel, bro, I'll check you out, man. But you say you exposed Charlo and Andrade. Jamal Charlo right now is acting a little suspect, to be honest with you, in regards to David Benavidez. He seems to be getting cold feet in regards to that fight. But there we go. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it happens. C. Rivas won. He weighed in at, sorry, you see Rivas won. He weighed in at 221. I heard tomorrow they'll announce Rivas versus Jennings for the Bridgerweight title. Interesting. That'll be a rematch, of course. First fight was really good between Oscar Rivas and Bryant Jennings. I'll be definitely interested in seeing it, AA Boxing and Blunts, but I don't really care about the Bridgerweight title. But yeah. Should I expose David Benavidez and Artur Beterbiev? Go for it, bro. Go for it. I think every fighter these days can be exposed for something, to be honest. Go for it, man. Go for it. But tell me, if you have a channel, let me know, bro. Big up to Right Hook Boxing, of course, every single time. And, of course, we have BG London dropping by. Big up to BG. Wednesday evening, halfway through the week. The weekend can't come soon enough, man. It cannot come soon enough. Long week so far. Long fucking week. End of the financial year. So, yeah, this month in general is super fucking busy for me. Just so fucking stressful, man. So, thought I'd unwind. Quick little live stream. You guys know, man. You guys know. Ricardo Martinez. I'm about to expose everybody. Big up to Ricardo. Big up to Matthias Unboxing. Salute to you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. G-Man Boxing, of course, in the building. Happy Paddy's Day. You too, bro, man. You're the Irishman here. Big up to G-Man. And yeah, have a good one, man. Have a good one. It's unfortunate we can't go to the bars and celebrate, but, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But hopefully you're having a good one. One day I'll look into Bivol more. Billy Joe Saunders and Plant are on my list. Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders, you will have a field day, Ricardo. If you're looking to expose Billy Joe, then there's a lot of subject matter with Billy Joe. But yeah, man, tell me how you guys feel about this weekend's fights. Vergil Ortiz Jr., bit of a test against Maurice Hooker. I expect Vergil to come through that, but it's a decent fight. Should be fun. Of course, you have the one I'm really looking forward to is actually Lawrence Okolie. I know Lawrence Okolie is not the most fun fighter in the world. A lot of fouls, a lot of holding, etc. But I think that partnership with Shane McGuigan is a good partnership, and I've seen signs of improvement from Lawrence Okolie. Of course, he's still holding and whatnot. He is still resorting to that, but not as much now. I've seen him do a better job of managing range, keeping guys at the end of his punches, and he's taken a step back now, you know, maintaining the distance a lot better. And if he can consistently get you on the end of his punches, he's going to be a very hard guy to beat, because I think that guy hits damn hard, Lawrence Okolie. I think he hits very hard. Big up to Lamb Chop in the building. I could do with a lamb chop right now. I am starving, bro. I'm starving. I got some chicken ready, which I'll cook after the stream. Sean Fowler, big up to you, sir. Yeah, Max, bro, that was always going to happen, man. It's that sort of fight. I expect that sort of narrative to get, really. It's going to get driven into overdrive soon as we get closer to that fight, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm going to avoid that. I'm just going to enjoy this fight, to be honest with you, Max. I'm going to ignore the fanboys, share my thoughts on it, and obviously eventually make a prediction video on that fight. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to let the fanboys spoil it for me, or the people out there who like. To a lot of people, man, a lot of these fights are bigger than boxing, unfortunately. They back a guy and they think it reflects on them if that guy loses, and they think it reflects on them if that guy wins. It's not that deep, man. It's not that deep, but there we go. There we go. I can't drink, but I'll smoke some green for the Paddy's Day. Fair play, bro. Bump of K, he's got Hooker and Glowacki KO accumulator. Jesus Christ, you must have some good odds there, bro, because they are both big underdogs in both fights. Yeah, man, he's fighting Sky Sports world title fight. That's for the vacant WBO title. So good little test there for Lawrence Okolie against Krzysztof Glowacki. Glowacki's certainly seen better days at this point, but he's not a shot fighter. He still has something left. So it's going to be a good test for him. And Glowacki can punch a bit. He's crafty, man, Glowacki, out of that southpaw stance. Lawrence Okolie in that fight's got to be careful when he actually falls into that clinch, because Glowacki's got a real mean, sneaky left uppercut. And if I was Glowacki, I'd be looking at that shot in this fight. Try and time Okolie coming in while he's going for a clinch, because you don't just time punches in boxing. You can time a guy who's trying to fall into the clinch and things like that. So yeah, Glowacki needs to look for that uppercut in this fight and try and work in the clinch as well. That's easier said than done though against Okolie. He's so physically strong and much bigger, so he's got his work cut out, Krzysztof Glowacki. AA Boxing and Blunts, I like Okolie's work ethics and dedication. He's living in a flat with the sparring partners and seems to be in a good place. Yeah, I've actually met Lawrence Okolie before he turned pro. And to be honest with you, he was actually a real, he seemed like a real good guy. Again, I've not enjoyed most of his fights, but listen, I think he's a nice enough guy. There is some talent there. There's something to work with Lawrence Okolie. Physically, like I say, extremely strong, man. Extremely strong, and he's got genuine punching power, like real punching power. And if he can tidy up a little bit, just manage that distance a little better, sort those feet out, improve his accuracy and timing, he's going to be very dangerous, Lawrence Okolie. Very dangerous. Yeah, good fight. Magomed Kurbanov versus Liam Smith. Who have you got, Del? Good fight, man. May 8th. That is in Russia, believe it or not. Liam Smith is going to Russia. Kurbanov is a hook-happy fighter. He likes to trade with those hooks. He's relatively aggressive, has decent power. Not the greatest distance boxer. That's going to be a war because Liam Smith's an inside fighter. I think Liam Smith's work rate and toughness could get the better of Kurbanov, but it's a good fight. Definitely not an easy fight for Liam Smith, but I've got Liam Smith in that fight, believe it or not. I've got Liam Smith as it stands right now anyway. Looking forward to that one. That's a good fight. I like it. Sorry, AA Boxing and Blunts. I like and hate both AJ and Fury. May the best man win. I just want to see a fair fight. I feel the same, AA. Like, neither one of Joshua or Fury are my favourite fighters. If I drew up a list of my top 20 favourite fighters, Joshua and Fury would not be on that list. So yeah, I've not really got a dog in that race, to be honest. I haven't got a clue. What do you think Fury will do versus Anthony Joshua style-wise? Well, I think this is what he should do. I believe he should box in that fight. Try and keep it on the outside, keep moving, keep obviously throwing those feints, and make Joshua engage in a boxing match and make Joshua take the lead and basically cut the ring off. I think when you do that against Joshua, Joshua kind of, I wouldn't say runs out of ideas, but he's nowhere near as effective. We saw signs of that in the Joseph Parker fight, where Parker was super negative, he was moving a lot, and Joshua never really pinned him down. And even in the Klitschko fight, look at the Klitschko fight back, and look at the rounds where much wasn't happening. They was kind of standing off each other boxing. And for me, Vladimir Klitschko was getting the better of Joshua in those rounds. It wasn't by much, but Klitschko was, he was dictating the lead hand control. He was the guy throwing the feints, kind of making Joshua bite. I felt Joshua was kind of, he didn't look comfortable when he was boxing with Klitschko. When it turned into a slugfest, that's when Joshua won the fight. But in the boxing match, I didn't think Joshua looked too convincing. So for me, Tyson Fury needs to be the boxer in that fight. I think being aggressive against Joshua is very risky. Very risky. But that's my opinion. Maybe Fury goes in there and blasts him out in a few rounds and walks him down. Who the fuck knows? But I think he needs to box. And it's interesting, Sean, Tyson Fury looked quite slim when I last saw him. In that he was on the he was interviewed on the MTK card recently, and he looked very slim. I wonder whether he's preparing to box. Lamb Chop, do you think Ortiz is a threat to the titles if he comes through Hooker? I do, yeah. He's hungry, he's young, he hits hard with both hands, a good combination puncher, boxer puncher. I think he's a threat. Actually, Virgil Ortiz Jr. said after that fight he wants Terence Crawford. And Terence needs a good opponent, so that'll be a great fight, bro. But he's certainly a threat. He's certainly a threat. Okolie needs to forget what Shane has taught him and just copy Klitschko's tactics. Hug, lean, Glowacki to death. He could do that. He's always got that in his locker. Oh, Christ. Hopefully Okolie doesn't perform like he raps. Yeah, that's a good point, BG London. That's a very good point. If he performs like he raps, he's going to get knocked out, bro. Big up to Tell J in the building. Wizard Sleeve here. I'll be shocked if Fury sees the 5th. I'll even be more shocked if he turns up. Yeah, that's one good point, actually. The fight still hasn't been made official. There's been positive talks, etc. But yeah, we may be jumping the gun a little bit. Hopefully, though. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it happens. But big up to Wizard Sleeve. Yeah, that's what it's looking like, Matthias Unboxing. It looks like the winner of Kurbanov versus Smith will fight Tim Tszyu in a final eliminator. That'll be a very good fight. Whoever wins that, a very good fight. AA Boxing and Blunts, I like the Smith fight. I'm glad to see the Smiths have joined second to none management and wouldn't be surprised to see Callum Smith fighting out East soon enough. Yeah, definitely. But I like the fight, AA. Yeah, Okolie, well, he tries to rap. Big up to Jonathan Morrison, a.k.a. Action Jackson. Big up to you, sir. What are the chances we get Usyk versus Joyce on the Fury-Joshua undercard? Bro, if that happened, I would be ecstatic. But it's not going to. It's not going to. I fucking nearly choked up there. Yeah, it's not going to. I think that's going to be a separate pay-per-view in the UK. They'll try and rinse as many pay-per-views before that fight. So yeah, that'll be on a separate card. But if it was on the same card, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. That's what I thought, Jonathan. Yeah, I thought Vladimir was kind of leading the hand control. He was kind of throwing the feints, keeping Joshua occupied. He was taking center ring. I thought Vladimir was outboxing him. Sean Fowler, AJ's a much better boxer than he was pre-Ruiz. The Fury from the Vladimir fight is dead. Last time he came in light was Otto Wallin, and Fury looked really slim recently. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good, good point. Yes, big up to Mr. Doc in the building. Also, Jerome Benjamin. Salute to Jerome. Earn with Hearn here as well. Big up to Earn with Hearn. Tell Jay, yeah, I just had a look. Good scenes of Dubai, but the rapping now, I'll pass. Yeah, Lawrence Okolie needs to stick to boxing, man. I need to address the talk about Floyd helping AJ. Just because he's an all-time great doesn't always translate into being a good mentor or coach. What's he going to do? Make AJ just like him in 3 to 4 months? Yeah, I think that's just Floyd being Floyd, you know. Anything that's hot in boxing, he likes to attach his name to in some way. And I think that's one of those cases, to be honest with you. XMB 45. I think Floyd's just being Floyd. He sees that fight as, obviously, he knows that it's a massive fight, and attaching his name to it in some way is only going to be good for him. But I don't think Floyd's really genuine with it. Yeah, great fight, bro. Jonathan, great fight. Virgil Ortiz versus Crawford. Sign me up. Forget Spence. Yep. And Virgil Ortiz is very highly ranked, I believe, with the WBO, or he was at one point anyway. So, yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to make that fight. Terence needs an opponent, and if Virgil wants that fight and he's serious and Golden Boy is serious, there's no reason not to look at Virgil Ortiz. No reason whatsoever. And that'll be a great fight. I've got a lot of high hopes in Virgil Ortiz. I think he's very good. Power in both hands, very good boxer puncher, good combination puncher, aggressive. I think he's been moved really well in his career so far. I think that's a very good fight. Big Boys Boxing. Salute to Big Boys Boxing. Contract signed, but the expiry date primed and ready indeed. Yep. Our new Kalle Sauerland video just released 10 minutes ago on IFL. Those comments are comedy gold. Kalle is a legend. Yeah, man, I like Kalle Sauerland. I do like Kalle Sauerland. And speaking of Kalle Sauerland, there's going to be an announcement this week, I believe, in regards to Chris Eubank Jr.'s next opponent. So that'll be interesting to see who he fights next. I would love to see Chris Eubank Jr. versus Ryota Murata. I think that'll be a great fight for Chris Eubank Jr. A tough fight, but a winnable fight. And that's a fight which would turn into a bit of a war. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Ryota Murata for the WBA title at middleweight. That's what I want to see. Bump of K. If Vitali was around today, he'd sweep this division, in my opinion. Yeah, head-to-head, Vitali is always going to be a hard guy to deal with. I think stylistically, Fury could give Vitali problems. But I think Joshua would be too straight up and down for Vitali. And as for Wilder, yeah, I think Vitali plays with him, to be honest. Big up to Official Scorecard Boxing Science in the building. I'm feeling the chat as well. What's worse, an AJ fanboy or a Fury fanboy? What's worse? They're both pretty cringy, in all honesty. But I feel there's more Fury fanboys, though, than Joshua fanboys. Because most of the Joshua fans are casuals anyway. I don't see many super hardcore boxing fans like standing over Joshua like that. In this community anyway, I think there's more Fury fanboys. That's from my experience. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just what I've encountered. But they're as bad as each other, Danilo. They're as bad as each other. Shout out to the fag for. Sorry, Mr. Doc. Fury will look historically bad if he's perceived as the reason undisputed all-UK heavyweight title fight falls through. Same goes for AJ. Neither would be forgiven anytime soon. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot on the line here, man, Mr. Doc. I can't see it falling through. Like, my intuition is that this fight happens. It has been for quite some time. But yeah, God help who actually, if somebody fucks this fight up, because they will never live it down. They will never live it down. Yeah, Sean says Fury fanboys in his experience. They are both pretty bad, quite frankly. Floyd wants Anthony Joshua to lose, probably because he sees his earnings as a threat to his legacy as the money man. Laugh out loud. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. Adam UK in the building. Big up to Adam. That's another good fight. XMB. That's a real good fight. Ortiz versus Boots Ennis. Yep. Great fight. Why don't these young prospects fight each other? You know? Why not? But it looks like Jaron Ennis is fighting Sergey Lipinets in his next fight. That's a good little test. Good little step up. Max Kuckerman, the few AJ fanboys I've heard around are as bad as the Wilder fanboys. They are bad. Don't get me wrong, Max. They are bad. But I don't think anybody can eclipse the Wilder fanboys. Given what we've seen in the last 12 months, I don't think anybody can eclipse that. When Joshua lost, there were some guys out there making wild conspiracy theories like that Al Heyman drugged Joshua and all that shit. I heard some weird conspiracies going around when Joshua lost, but they weren't like pushed on main channels or anything like that. But yeah, they are bad. Fanboy's a fanboy to me, to be honest. Bump of K, he says, Ortiz is a very good prospect, but Hooker is too early for him, in my opinion. Interesting. See, I think Virgil's going to do the job there. But it's a good little test. One thing about Maurice Hooker you have to consider, in my opinion, at light welterweight, he had a real hard weight cut. He's like 5'11" with an 80-inch reach. That was a real hard weight cut. And he could crack at 140. Now the guy doesn't have such a hard weight cut. I wouldn't be surprised if he's punching harder now at welterweight. Maybe his power could surprise Virgil Ortiz. That's what I'll be worried about. But skill for skill, I think Virgil's a lot better. You confident Undisputed happens in June, July after Eddie's backtracking on the IFL interview? Yeah, I think it will happen more than likely July. That's my guess. Will Danny Garcia's chin get cracked at 154? Yeah, I heard him say he wants to go to 154. Listen, he's talking about fighting Keith Thurman at 154. I don't think he gets knocked out in that fight. But yeah, against someone like Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo's far too big for Danny Garcia. I think Jermell stops him, to be honest. Danny is a tough guy, no matter what you think of him. But at 154, that's going to be too much. Too small, in my opinion, Danny Garcia. Oh, he's replying to Danilo there. A big up to Nordic Warrior. Yes, God bless my boxing brothers. God bless you too, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well, Nordic. Hopefully you're keeping well. Shadow boxing, Ortiz stops Hooker in 5. Yeah, you could be right, bro. Thank you, Jonathan, man. Yeah, hit the like. Dell has one of the best channels. Big up to Jonathan. Thank you very much. And yeah, smash the like, man. It always helps us out. Always helps us out. AA boxing and blunts. I think without tourism for the bidders, then I can't see Joshua Fury happening anytime soon. Man, that fight will happen in the Middle East somewhere. It's not even about the attendance when it's in the Middle East. It's about the site fee. Like they'll probably put that in like a stadium with like 8,000, 10,000 people in the Middle East with a crazy site fee, something like that. I think they'll make it happen. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully. Ammo Williams versus Anthony Fowler. Who wins? Big up to Minimax Boxing, by the way. I like what I see from Ammo Williams. He does the basics well. He's got nice balance, good body puncher, keeps a good shape. But I saw him get cracked. I saw him get cracked in that Dennis Duglin fight, and he didn't look like he liked it. And Anthony Fowler can definitely punch. But I don't really rate Fowler like that. I see that as 50-50, to be honest with you, Minimax. I see it as 50-50. Don't forget Anthony Fowler also had a better amateur background. Anthony Fowler did pretty well in the amateurs, to be fair to him. Seriously, do we think Danny Garcia can beat J-Rock, Hurd, Tony Harrison, Lubin, Lara, Castano, much less Jermell? No, he can't. I would pick him to lose all of those fights. Out of the Lubin fight, maybe he could crack Lubin. Lubin's chin these days seems super suspect, and I don't think Lubin has faith in his chin. If I were to pick Danny to beat any of them guys, potentially it would be Lubin. But even then, I would still back Lubin. Oh God, Calais is saying that he is trying to get Eubank Jr. versus Brook. Eubank Jr. went to PBC and still couldn't get Charlo. Yeah, I don't like that Brook fight for Eubank Jr. Brook these days is shot to bits, as we saw in the Crawford fight. And that's a mismatch. Eubank Jr. just destroys Kell Brook now. Absolutely destroys him. I've got no interest in that fight whatsoever. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Because Kell gets hurt in that fight. Anthony Fowler's a huge hype job that tries to weight bully at 154. Yeah, I don't rate Anthony Fowler Gooner season. I don't rate him at all. Yeah, you're more than likely right, Tel J. Danny Garcia doesn't beat anybody decent at 154. Let's be honest, he struggled at 147. So, there we go. Danny's only moving up because he enjoys his food too much. Yeah, Danny's got 1 foot out of the door now, in my opinion. He's got 1 foot out of the door. Mate, I can smell my chicken, you know. I've seasoned it up and like marinated it, and I'm so fucking hungry. I've not even put it in the oven yet. Bit of peri-peri marination. Why not? Amo Williams would beat Fowler. You might be right. It's a good fight, man. Why not? Make it. Anthony Fowler's a straight bum. Oh, dear. I don't like Anthony Fowler, so any Anthony Fowler slander is accepted in this chat. Wilder fanboys are on another level. The King himself, Droopy Titan, is a good example. Yeah, these guys are crazy, man. They're not even worth like addressing. Oh, have you rewatched Estrada versus Gonzalez 2? And do you still think that it was that close? I've not rewatched it, to be honest, official. I was going to rewatch it yesterday, but what came up? Something came up. Something came up. But yeah, I was going to rewatch it yesterday, but I never got around to it, and I've still not rewatched it. But no, I've not rewatched it. But I definitely plan on doing that in the next few days or so. Because I went into that. The thing for me, I went into that fight with I knew the result going in because I didn't watch it live, and I heard about the robbery, and I watched it. I just didn't see it as that egregious. Granted, Roman Gonzalez won his rounds much clearer than Estrada, no doubt. And if it wasn't a round by round format, if you look at that like a 36-minute fight, yeah, I would give it to Roman Gonzalez. But I felt there were certain rounds where Estrada didn't really get the credit. I thought the DAZN commentary was a little off. But maybe I just had one of those bad days. I'll rewatch it. I'll definitely rewatch it. But it's one of those fights where even if I rescore it 7-5 to Gonzalez, maybe I still don't see a robbery. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I'll definitely rewatch it. XMB, he says, AJ fanboys are quite bad. I've heard a lot of them say he is good at things which he really is not. For example, his defense and chin before Ruiz. Yeah. I think Joshua's chin is just average. I don't think he's got a terrible chin. But he can definitely be hurt. He can definitely be dropped. That much we know. But I don't think his chin is like David Price level. I think some people over-exaggerate how bad his chin is, and obviously the fanboys over-exaggerate how good it is. It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, big up to Neil Simpson, man. What will those idiots in the LDBC think about Anthony Joshua and Mayweather teaming up? I wonder if they're going to throw AJ under the bus. Oh, they threw him under the bus a long time ago, Neil. They threw him under the bus a long time ago. It's whether they throw Floyd under the bus is the question. Yeah, I thought it was close, Max. I thought it was close. Like, one thing I noticed in regards to that fight was the people who scored it to Chocolatito. A lot of the rounds, I looked at individual scorecards from a lot of people, and even the people who scored it to Chocolatito, a lot of the rounds they scored were not consistent. So, like, one guy would have X amount of rounds to Gonzalez with different. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, the rounds, if it was such a robbery, why all of these scorecards? Why is there so much differentials in who won each round with certain rounds? If that makes sense. Eddie had the face of a man that knows his cash cow is over. He's got Canelo now, man, by looks of it. Boxing fan. Eddie Hearn right now is feeling himself. He really is. Yeah, the 117-111 card is a joke. There's no way to get around that. There's no way to get around that. And I'm glad that guy got suspended. What was his Carlos Sucre, whatever his name is. Clown. Big up to Levi Khan. Big up to Mullah's 27. At least in Saudi, criminals get their limbs chopped off. So no fear of getting robbed or date raped unless you like being drugged and raped. Fuck's sake. Mullah's, man. Exactly, crazy D3. Yeah, the Arabs don't care about profit. They're spending on entertainment events to boost PR. It's a toss-up between Saudi, Qatar, and Bahrain. Yep, it's a very good point. Like, you think they made money on the Joshua Ruiz fight? I doubt it. But it was a big event. because they want to portray to the world that they are moving on with the times and it's a much more tourist-friendly environment. That's what these sort of events are, really. These big events, they're like sales pitches almost. And yeah, that's why they pay these big fees for these sort of events. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I heard about that, Levi Khan. Alberto Machado, yeah, he's back, yeah. Fuck Anthony Fowler. I hope he gets sparked before he can even rematch Fitzgerald. Yeah, Neil, I've just got no interest whatsoever in that fight. Kell-Brook versus fucking Eubank Jr. No interest whatsoever. Kell-Brook needs to retire before he gets badly hurt. He might really lose an eye soon, to be honest. PBC fighters are lazy. A lot of them are, yeah. A lot of them are. I think a lot of these guys have been spoiled, especially when the PBC first came along, because a lot of these guys were getting paid a lot of money to basically fight mismatches, and that kills a fighter's hunger. Like Leo Santa Cruz at one point was fighting guys like Jose Cayetano, sorry, and he was fighting guys like that and getting paid $1 million. If you're getting paid $1 million to fight a D-level fighter, why would you want to fight Gary Russell Jr. for $2 million? That's the thing with the PBC. Back in the day, they overpaid so many fighters, man, for poor fights, and it killed a lot of guys' hunger. I think that's a generation of lost fighters. A lot of those guys, anyway. XMB, Furman would have a better chance at 154 than Danny would. I still wouldn't think he does well over there, but still, yeah, I agree. I see where you're coming from. Furman actually started at 154. Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, he did. He fought on HBO at 154 a few times, I believe. This is Levi. Ammo looked good, and Dennis Douglin looked terrible, but sneaky by Matchroom only to give Douglin a week's notice. Douglin just got out of prison a few days ago prior. Check his Instagram. He discusses his legals. I never knew that. That's very sneaky. Estrada Gonzalez, most overrated fight of all time, reminded me of a bloody woman's fight, to be honest. Jesus Christ, that is harsh. I thought it was a very good fight, Bump of K. Very good fight. A fight of the year contender, no doubt. But I've heard people put this on the level of Morales versus Barrera. It's not close, man. In my opinion, it's not close. Yeah, the high level of skill was very good, and there was ebb and flows in the action. But come on, man, it was nowhere near as good as Morales versus Barrera, or Guillermo Jones versus Denis Lebedev, or Castillo versus Corrales, Golovkin, Canelo 2. These fights were better in my opinion. Just my opinion. Joshua Klitschko better. I'll just be honest about it. I think a lot of people are going overboard with how good that fight was. It was very good, don't get me wrong, but that was just your average fight of the year contender, in my opinion. Robbie Fowler doesn't care about his bum-ass cousin. He doesn't. No, he doesn't. Like, you never see him big him up on social media. Clenello Alvaroid, I love that name. Try and get worse than Devin Haney fanboys. You'll be searching. Yeah, they are pretty bad, Canelo Alvaroid. They are pretty bad. But to me, all fanboys these days are the same pretty much. Levi also thinks Chocolatito got robbed. He said, Chocolatito won, knew he'd get robbed. Welcome to Texas. Need one governing body in America like in Britain. Texas is where Paulie Malignaggi famously ranted against corrupt judges. Yeah, I recall that against Juan Diaz, yeah. I forgot he was fighting Copend, to be honest. He fought last night. Yeah, he won apparently. So I've not seen it. I think Mayweather working with Joshua could really hurt his game. Yeah, I don't think Mayweather's being sincere, to be honest, Jonathan. I don't think he's being sincere. I just think he's, just piggybacking off it, really. We know what Floyd's like, man. We know what Floyd's like. He loves that publicity, and that's the angle he's approaching this at, in my opinion. Okie dokie, let me just open that shit up. Boom. Where were we? Yeah, I can imagine official. I can imagine talking about the zone commentary being off. You haven't seen their Spanish version. I was watching. They were slurping Verusta, laugh out loud. I can imagine. No worries, bro. Yeah, it's a good fight, Levi Khan. Maxi Hughes versus Paul Highland Jr. this Friday. Not even their damn relatives are going to be watching this. Hopefully, they come out safely. Yeah, that's a good little card by MTK. That's for the British title. And also, you've got Lee McGregor versus Kareem Gurfi for the European Bantamweight title. It's a good little card on IFL. Good little card. ESPN Plus in the US, I believe. Yeah, Joshua Ruiz 2 was boring, yeah. It was one of those fights where watching it at the time, it kept me interested, but it's not a fight I'll go back and watch. Stank Davis is overrated. I love that, by the way, that name, Stank Davis. I think Stank Davis he's got raw potential. Like he's explosive, he hits hard, etc. I think with a real good coach and with a proper mindset, he'd be a very good fighter. But I don't think he's got that. I don't think he's got the mindset to be great, Tank Davis, honestly. But if you put someone like, I don't know, let's say you put Joshua's mindset into Tank Davis's body, I think that would be a very good fighter there. Yeah, I saw Anthony Mundine get knocked out, Levi. Yeah, 1 round. Sad to see. 45 years old though, so you expect it really. Imagine Joshua doing the Philly show, laugh out loud. Can you imagine? Well, you say that Joshua, man, he's already starting to do that pull counter right hand, and he looks quite good doing it. That's not an easy shot to land. I used to try that in the gym all the time, and usually I'd fail at it. That's not an easy shot to land and pull off. Yeah, Max says official to me. The fight was like Taylor Pro Grace, very close. I thought it was close, man. Is that fight official, Mini Max? Franco Maloney 3. If it's official, it's a hard one, man. Maloney kind of got beat up in that first fight. Second fight, Maloney was looking pretty decent at the start until it ended the way it did. I might go Franco, hook or by crook. Hook or by crook. Big up to Jazz 11. If the judges prefer a certain style and there is 9 close rounds in a fight, then 9 rounds to 3 makes sense. Not a rivalry scorecard. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's one of those rare fights. Usually with fights like that, I'm usually in and around the consensus. But that's one of those fights where I'm just not. Well, from first viewing anyway. It's weird. I've been watching boxing for nearly 40 years now, and I've never seen anything like this before, where boxing fans are obsessed with a promotion company like the LDBC. Is very weird. Yeah. To be fair though, it's not just the LDBC. There are people over here who like obsess over Matchroom, or they just hate on Matchroom, etc. There's a lot of guys like that who play that angle. I never understand it. I don't care who's putting on a fight. If it's a good fight, it's a good fight. At the end of the day. Yeah, I always thought Kell Brook had so much heart, but after that Crawford fight, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think the love for the game's there anymore. He's really just hanging around for his retirement checks, Kell Brook. Kell Brook to me is incredibly frustrating. One of the biggest waste of talents in British boxing. I've always said that. But even in Kell Brook's prime, the guy had a lot of problems outside the ring, mixing with the wrong people, ballooning up in weight, and other things that I won't mention because ultimately I can't prove them. But I've heard through the grapevine that Kell Brook got up to a lot of stuff outside the ring. So he never really took it seriously, Kell Brook, unfortunately. But I always thought he was very talented fighter. Makole, easy win against a damaged Glowacki. Was down badly versus Hook, down badly versus Briadis. Yeah, he could be damaged goods, yeah. See, I really enjoyed that fight, Minimax. A lot of people after that fight happened said that it wasn't that great. I disagreed, man. I really enjoyed that fight, and I felt the draw was quite fair in that fight, to be honest. I wouldn't call it like a lead fight of the year contender, but it was a good solid fight. And hopefully we see the rematch, but obviously Rakimov's been ordered to fight the Asian dude. I forgot his name. Yes, big up to Jim McDonald Boxing. Nah, listen, bro, I don't care, Levi, man. That fight was pure brutality. Like Lebedev in that fight showed so much heart, man. So much heart. Great fight. Yeah, Mr. Doc. Yeah, I've been saying the same thing. This generation of American fighters is going to be looked back upon as a lost generation that for all of their talent and social media achieved nothing. Yep, I totally agree, Mr. Doc. I totally agree. It's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah, definitely a shame. I'm not trying to be racist, but I feel like fanboys of all Mexican American fighters have the worst fanboys. Why is there such a fan base for Jose Ramirez and Jaime Munguia? I don't really see anybody fanboy for Munguia, to be honest. I see a few for Ramirez, but listen, man, Ramirez to me he deserves his fans, man. He's took some hard fights. He's fighting for undisputed. I think Ramirez is definitely worth supporting, but I don't really see guys fanboy for Munguia. Big up to James Nunn. Yeah, Levi Beterbiev back in Russia this weekend against his sparring partner, Adam Dinez. Won't last long or get views. Bob Arum absolutely fuming. Yep. Listen, man, I like Beterbiev, though. He's going to crush some guy's skull, so I'll watch that fight. And also on the undercard, a guy called Pavel Sulyagin, Russian prospect, 168. Good prospect, in my opinion. In with a hard fight, though, against an unbeaten prospect. So a battle between two unbeaten prospects on that card. Give it a watch. Definitely give it a watch. Oh shit, where was I? Yeah, DAZN is such a stupid name. Yeah, man, it's like DAZN, Triller. I don't know how they come up with these names, man. Yeah, Nordic. Yeah, very good card and no cost. Big up to MTK. One thing I'll say, Nordic, a lot of those MTK cards, yeah, usually no household names, but they're quite well matched. You get a lot of good fights on those cards. Like last weekend, Lewis Crocker versus Dennis Ilbay was a really fun fight. So I'm looking forward to that card. I might do a post-fight for a Lee McGregor, actually. That's a good fight. Oh yeah, Sergio Moore is terrible, in my opinion. Big up to Ian Ward, evening Delboy. Who would you say wins out of Filip Hrgovic versus Tony Yoka? Tony Yoka got the better of Filip Hrgovic in the amateurs, although I felt Hrgovic was robbed in the Olympics against Yoka. But in the pros, I think Hrgovic has settled down a lot better than Tony Yoka. I think his style is more suited to the pros. I would take Filip Hrgovic by late stoppage. It would be competitive. Tony Yoka does the basics well. He's got nice fundamentals, good high guard, nice jab, good 1-2. But I would take Filip Hrgovic. Adam Dinez has a chance. Don't sleep on him. He can punch a little bit, Guna season, but skill for skill, I think he's going to get mollywopped. Exactly, crazy D3. You forget that. He's 26 years old now, so you can't really class him as a young fighter. He needs to get a move on. Virgil Ortiz versus Mo Hooker on Saturday. Hooker hasn't been the same since his DUI. Ortiz will outpoint him, if not stop him. I think he'll stop him late, Levi. Big up to Banter Swag. Loma versus Inoue. If Loma moves down and Inoue moves up, why not, bro? I think Inoue would be too small, though. I think Inoue would be too small. PG London, McCaskill versus Breakhouse was sexy and close. Congratulations to McCaskill. Yeah, I'm not into female boxing, but listen, Jessica McCaskill doesn't look too bad to me on the scales anyway. If Joshua wants to win against Fury, he needs to go Hagler, seek and destroy style. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll give that a watch as well. I don't see Nordic Warriors videos in my feed half the time. So I'll definitely give that a watch. I'm pleased you mentioned that, Max. I'm pleased you mentioned that. But yeah, big up to Max, man. Big up to Max. That's true, though. That is true, official. But to me, it just looks a lot more, just so much more fluid now. It looks a lot more fluid than it did back in the day. Like I could land a pull counter on Charles Martin. Do you know what I mean? Big up to Apology Man in the building as well. Yeah, Igor Mikhalkin is back on the Beterbiev card as well, indeed. That's a good fight. Estrada versus Martinez. Who wins right now? Fuck me, that's a hard fight to call. That's a hard fight to call. If Martinez can successfully go up in weight and be okay, he might be a bit too fresh for Estrada, you know. See, I like Martinez, as you guys know. One of my favourites in boxing right now. I'll be rooting for Martinez, but it's a hard fight to call. It's a very hard fight to call. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mullers. I think Floyd just wants to piggyback back off Joshua's popularity. Yeah, exactly. Big up to Toby Plays. I just joined the stream. Don't know whether this has been mentioned. I think Joshua Fury is going to be officially announced on the 27th. Both Eddie and Frank have cards on that day, so it just makes sense to do it. Yeah, that's a good shout. I heard a lot of people say that, actually, because obviously you've got Dillian White and Povetkin on that day, and Frank's got his card. So you could be right. You could be right, like a joint announcement. Yeah. Hopefully. Floyd acts like he's the only fighter that never lost. Yeah, Ricardo Lopez, Joe Calzaghe, etc., etc. Yeah. It makes me laugh at how people point fingers at the LDBC, dismissing their own fanboy delusions, shaking my head. Listen, man, everyone is guilty, but like the LDBC are just the most blatant, obvious example of that, in my opinion, on this YouTube shit. They're the most blatant, obvious example when it comes to standing and fanboying. That's how I see it anyway. I don't know about that. I think a lot of American boxing fans care about boxing glory. Oh, you mean the fighters themselves? Yeah, that is, yeah. Mexican fans keep American boxing alive. They are the only group that really supports the sport. America's still got their hardcore fans, man, but you're right. In terms of numbers, like the Hispanic fan base do really show out. They do really show out. Yeah, I agree, Jonathan. I agree. Again, I'm leaning towards Taylor. He is more versatile. He is the bigger man. Southpaw, of course. But, you know, Ramirez is not to be messed with. He's a very good pressure fighter, good gas tank, carries decent power. And the thing for me in that fight is the Ben Davison factor. I'm not convinced about Ben Davison as a trainer, to be honest with you. And that's a big fight for him as a trainer. Can he handle it? Who knows, man? I'm not convinced by Ben. Like a lot of people over here, I'm not convinced by Ben at all. I'm not saying he's a bad trainer, just very unproven. Yeah, apology, MTK cards are elite, better than the matchroom shit we are usually getting, yeah. Mollywopped is a very British saying. No way, Beasley London. I wouldn't watch it. I'd want Jessica McCaskill to win just because she's pretty hot, but I wouldn't watch it. I'm just never been a fan of female boxing, and I never will be, to be honest with you. Just not my. It's not my jazz. Not my jazz. Big up to Noah Zuberi in the chat. Talk of Valdez versus Lomachenko. Great fight. If Lomachenko moves down to 130, very good fight. I would definitely watch that one. Very good fight. Lopez these days looks rejuvenated, coming off a great win, knocking out Berchelt. That's a great fight. Why not? Let's get it. I'm all for it. Oh, that's a good one. Would you rather watch female boxing or female football? Female boxing just because it's shorter. Like even if it goes full 10 rounds, well, it's 2-minute rounds. It's going to be 20 minutes. Like female football is still 90 minutes. So I'd rather watch female boxing. Female football's great comedy. Big up to Faust in the building. Salute to Faust. Yeah, that's a good shout, Faust. I'm betting on a draw versus in Joshua Fury. I've got a feeling it's going to be a close fight. Yeah, and also you've got to take into account they need to sell the second fight. And what better way to do that than a draw? So yeah, a close fight. Don't be surprised if it gets scored a draw. Definitely worth a bet. Definitely worth a bet. Josh Taylor's going to lose because of Ben Davison. Ben Davison is the biggest chancer I've ever seen. Mate, he's what we call a fly-by-night in the UK. I think are you from the UK? A bump of K. But yeah, he comes across like a chancer, Ben Davison. Maybe he'll be a great trainer. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not convinced. How can I respect a professional combat sport like women's boxing when I could knock out the pound-for-pound number one and I'm a 22-year-old stoner? What's a chancer? So it's like a bullshitter. Somebody who really is kind of in a situation and it's above their pay grade, put it that way. What the hell does chancer mean? Ben Davison is still better than Adam Booth. Adam Booth, yeah. Eddie and Bob would love a draw for that. Yeah, for the second fight. Yeah, exactly, bro. It makes a lot of sense. If I was promoting those fights, I'd want a draw as well. I'd favour Taylor over Ramirez, mainly because I feel he's already beat a better fighter in Prograis. Do you see him doing well at 147? I think he's a serious dark horse. Yeah, I do agree with your statement, by the way, that he beat a better fighter in Prograis. I certainly think Prograis is more dangerous from a power point of view, and all around, I think he's just a more skilled fighter than Ramirez. But stylistically, again, Taylor's going to engage Ramirez, and that could be dangerous. But yeah, I expect Taylor to win. Can he be a dark horse at 147? Maybe. He's definitely going to give some guys decent fights. I find female UFC more entertaining than female boxing. Yeah, I'd say so. Boxing Brains. Chancer is what Bunsey called Wingy, wasn't it, on Twitter? Laugh out loud. Yeah, he did. Steve Bunce is a fucking legend, by the way. Absolute legend. That guy's hilarious. I don't like his boxing takes that much, but the guy's just funny as fuck. If you've seen the interview where he's like, he's on TV and he's talking about Jade Goody, and fuck me, it's hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I do prefer, obviously, boxing to UFC, yeah. Big up pound for pound boxing, big up Blue. Sorry to spoil the party, but I feel it's late 2021 for Undisputed. Just the fact that there's apparently more money on board for later on in the year. Okay. Are you a Thug Rose fan, Del? I've seen her when she had hair, and she was quite attractive back then. I'd rather she grows her hair back, to be honest with you. BG London. There's nothing to fucking pull. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, she's okay. She's okay. Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and type in Steve Bunce Jade Goody. You're only really going to get it if you're like a British person, but it's fucking hilarious, honestly. It is fucking hilarious. Buncey's voice is way too annoying. I like it when he gets hyped up, man. It's fucking hilarious. That guy's definitely a cokehead as well, Steve Bunce. There's no doubt about it. You know that guy snorts a fat line before he, presents a show. Guarantee you. iCarly can come again, man. Jade can't. Oh, dear. Well, my days. I'm just thinking back to that interview or conversation, whatever you call it. It's fucking hilarious. So when he was talking about the program with Jade Goody, and he said, ironically, it's on a channel called Living, I fucking lost it, man. Oh, Nordic, man. That's terrible. I love it, man. Fucking love it. Who's your favorite current commentary team? I'd say Showtime, even though they don't have Paulie anymore. I still find them more objective than all of the others. Yeah, I think commentary right now in boxing is at an all-time low. Sorry, but yeah, maybe Showtime are the best. But without Paulie, it's gone downhill quite a lot. Sky are terrible. ESPN are terrible. PBC are terrible. Like PBC Fox are terrible. I don't mind the MTK commentaries actually with Barry Jones and. What's the guy's name? Alex Stedman, I think his name is. Like the YouTube shows, they're quite decent. One of my favourite Buncey moments is on some BT Sports video about Fury versus Joshua. Big John is going off on one about how good Fury is, and Bunce is goading him by saying, yeah, come on, go on, John. Yeah, Bunce is funny. He is kind of funny. Jade Goody in her wedding dress. Shuttlecock. Christ. Oh dear. Boxing News is hating on Ryan Garcia. Listen, man, Ryan Garcia needs to just chill out, man, and fight somebody. He's acting like he's like completed the game already. Acting like he's entitled to a Manny Pacquiao fight and whatnot. Ryan needs to fight somebody. Good win over Luke Campbell, but it's Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell was a perennial loser basically at world level. That's not anything special at the end of the day. Ryan needs to fight, Devin Haney. That's the fight Ryan Garcia should be having. He's got the interim title. Devin Haney's got that full title. That's the fight that should happen next. But for whatever reason, Ryan Garcia's getting cold feet. There's no reason why Ryan Garcia should not take the Devin Haney fight. Both on the same network as well. But again, these lightweights right now are just fucking, I don't know, fucking around too much. Bunce can go from perfectly normal to on an acid trip in seconds. Oh dear. Exactly, Max Kuckerman. I cannot disagree with you there. Oh God! Completely forgot about Jade Goody. Has she turned to an OnlyFans? Question mark. If I was in charge of production, I'd get Kate Abdo, Buncey, Paulie, and Froch for banter. Mate, Kate Abdo. Not too bad. Not too bad. Jazz, AJ looks too vulnerable. I think he runs around the ring, gasses out, and gets KO'd badly by a Fury jab. Women can have a dishwashing competition instead of fighting. Speaking of like kitchen activities, I need somebody to do my chicken, mate. I need somebody to do my chicken. At least Luke Campbell's in the top 10, unlike Gamboa coming off a knockout loss. That's true, AJ Morningstar. But the problem is, like, for better or worse, whether we agree or disagree, like, Haney does have that full title. And if you've got the interim title, the next logical step is go for the main title. But Ryan Garcia is not doing that. So Ryan Garcia is just kind of winding me up, man. Bunty stutter goes on for minutes sometimes. Yeah, it's hilarious. Pound for pound boxing, absolutely hilarious. There's another one as well where he called somebody in, was it Little Mix or Pussycat Dolls, like some sort of band, some girl band, and they was performing before maybe a Klitschko fight, and he said one of them looked like a tranny. That's hilarious, man. And this was on live TV as well, live TV. Who do you think gives Canelo most trouble at 160 and 168? At 160, still Gennady Golovkin. At 168, David Benavidez. Crazy D3, Jesus Christ. AJ versus Fury, one set of fans is about to get very AIDS yet. Well, both set of fans will in the build-up. Like maybe 2 times BG London, not too many times. He got caught by a right hand, I think twice maybe, and a couple of jabs here and there. Worst knockout since White nearly killed Lucas Brown. What are your top 5? I don't know about top 5, but like White getting knocked out by Povetkin is 1. Baranchik getting knocked out by Zepeda. That was a nasty knockout. Savage knockout, man. There's been a few. Joshua Fury's like Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose. Yep, indeed. Yeah, no, I can't argue with that, AJ. But like, again, what's Ryan Garcia doing right now? Like, if Devin Haney fights Linares and beats Linares, that's a better win than Luke Campbell. So what excuse does he have then? The problem I have with Devin Haney is the Lomachenko situation. It's like he's definitely he's talking shit in regards to that. He's talking absolute nonsense. He doesn't want to fight Lomachenko anytime soon. But yeah, Devin Haney's got his problems, but in regards to the Ryan Garcia fight, it's not him holding that up, to be honest. This Steve Bunce talk has me laughing, man. Even if I only vaguely understand the British humour. Yep. Yeah, Garcia has the interim title when the champ and super champ is still active. What the fuck? That makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. More sanctioning fees, though, for the WBC. That's what it is, really. Devin is... Yeah, I agree, AJ. I totally agree. Nordic Warrior, interim champion, a.k.a. caretaker of the belt. Yep. See, I don't mind the interim title if it's like in a case where the champion's injured and cannot defend for a little while. In that scenario, the interim title makes sense. But we're having now, in boxing now, we've got an interim champion when the champion's active. It makes no fucking sense. Maybe you're right, Levi. Maybe you're right. I think Fury's being Fury, though. Just being a fucking idiot. Yeah, Jake Paul, when he knocked out that... who did he knock out? Some basketball player or NFL player? Yeah. Jake Paul, by the way, versus Ben Askren. Jake Paul's going to knock out Ben Askren. Have you seen that guy striking? It's absolutely awful. Honestly. Absolutely awful, bro. Some of the worst striking I've seen. Ben Askren. Some of the worst I've seen. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Lomachenko-Lopez rematch. Hopefully it gets done within the next 2 years before Loma gets too old. Yeah, I'd like to see it. First fight was pretty close. I scored it to Teofimo 7-5. Lomachenko started way too late. but it kind of looked like he kind of figured out Lopez towards the end of that fight. So I would like to see a part 2 to see if that was the case or not. That's the one. Nate Robinson. Yep. Yeah, I think Mikey will go the distance, AJ. I think he'll go the distance, but yeah, I think that's really about it, to be honest. I don't think he wins that fight. Unless Pacquiao is completely shot to bits, I can't see Mikey really giving Pacquiao too many problems. Might win a couple of rounds, but he won't give him too many problems. Yeah, Jake Paul by KO, TKO, guaranteed easy money, since you mentioned. That's going to be hilarious. That's going to be a big L for MMA. If Jake Paul knocks out Ben Askren, that's a big L. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, you would go Tommy Fury in that one. But it goes to show, though, like, Jake Paul would be a step up for Tommy Fury. That's how bad Tommy Fury's competition has been. I've got Lomachenko in the rematch. You could be right. You could be right. It looked like he figured him out in that second half. But who knows? I want to see it again. Matthew Martinez got beef with Johnny Boy. Again, I've got no problem with either one of you guys, so go ahead, man. Go ahead. Young George Foreman versus Vitali, whoever you got. That'd be a war, Bump of K. That'd be an absolute war. Jesus, that's a good fight. That's a very good fight. The size of Vitali is always going to be a problem. What was George Foreman, 6'3", something like that? But he could really punch, man. I think, you know what, if Foreman doesn't get him out of there in the first 6 rounds, I think Foreman could get stopped really late on accumulation and like just out of exhaustion. I think that's a 50-50 fight. It's a good fantasy fight, though. It's a very good fantasy fight. Mikey might have Pac-Man's number. Mikey is like a better Marquez. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's a better Marquez. He's a good counterpuncher, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say he's on the level of a Marquez. No way. No way. Do I have problems with Canelo? I mean, certain fights in his career, I don't think have been on the up and up. I think he's had certain advantages which he didn't really deserve. And yeah, I think I'll put it this way, if Canelo was a B-side fighter, his record would not look the same. Put it that way. His record would not look the same. So I think he's a guy who's really benefited from the A-side status in boxing, and I think he overdoes it. Very good fighter, very talented, world-class, no doubt. But I think some of his wins are a bit smoke and mirror kind of, you know what I mean? A bit smoke and mirror. I saw this video of Askren sparring frame by frame because I was incredibly bored, and he threw awful slappy shots and then throws a fairly decent uppercut in the middle of it. I don't know, man. He looked awful. I don't think anything that Ben throws from the hands is good or decent. Maybe he's improved. I don't know, but Mike Tyson, AJ Morningstar, late stoppage, Mike Tyson. Yep, Boots Ennis versus Sergey Lipinets, April 10th is a good fight. Good test, yeah. Good test for Boots Ennis. No, I don't think so. Go to Adam Booth. I don't think so. Eddie wants Canelo to beat Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah, imagine being Billy Joe Saunders. Eddie's already talking about Canelo versus Caleb Plant, and he promotes Billy Joe as well. Imagine that. I would. My answer to this would be yes. Crazy D3. I think he is cashing out Billy Joe, and he has brought it on himself through lack of professionalism. Why would anybody seriously invest in Billy Joe Saunders, given the track record in his career? I think he's cashing out. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've always said Canelo's a real good fighter. Like, he's a very good fighter, but just too much A-side bullshit for me, for Canelo. Saunders wants Canelo to beat Saunders. Yeah, Eddie's in a very good position right now. BG London. He's in a very good position. That's a hard one. Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston's jab is going to be a big problem for Mike. If Mike can get past the jab against Sonny, I think he. I might go. Do you know what? I'll go Tyson. But Sonny's a very dangerous fight for him, in my opinion. Yeah, he's got the two biggest cash cows, BG, no doubt. Yeah, it's just for Canelo fanboys that are calling him an all-time great. Yeah. Should Warrington take the rematch against Lara? I think it'll be very risky, to be honest. But where else has he got to go? He lost to a massive underdog, right? Yeah, it's going to take a lot to rebuild from that. The best way to do that would be to avenge that loss. I guess that's the only route he's got to go, to be honest. So I think he will. But should he? Probably not, to be honest. Nordic says Warrington's going to school Lara in the rematch. He fought like a moron first time around. Yeah, he did. He did fight like an idiot. I don't think he took Lara seriously, to be honest. And when he felt that punching power very early on, I think Warrington realised he fucked up, and he wasn't ready for that sort of fight. I don't think he realised what was in front of him. And nobody did, to be honest. But I think Warrington got caught out. But that rematch is going to be a hard fight. It's going to be a hard fight. I used to hold the A-side stuff against Canelo, but he destroyed Jacobs, who was GGG's best win on paper, and it's questionable if he beat him. See, I thought Golovkin beat Jacobs relatively clearly, to be honest, in a competitive fight. The other thing you have to take into account, Danny Jacobs had a rehydration clause against Canelo. Yeah, he came over it a little bit, but he couldn't break the rehydration clause to any great extent because he was going to get fined. So you got to bear in mind, Jacobs had a rehydration clause against Canelo, which obviously can make a big difference. See, in that fight, Warrington's punching power is always going to be a problem if Warrington decides to exchange, which he did in the first fight. You're always going to come up second best. Warrington needs to be getting in, getting out, fighting in bursts kind of thing. Doing his work, getting out. Doing his work, getting out. But he was exchanging far too much. And when he got hurt, that's the only thing he was doing was exchanging. Trying to fight fire with fire. Very naive tactics from Warrington in that fight. If Joshua retires after the Fury fights, Eddie would still have Canelo. That's why he's willing to risk Joshua against Fury. Maybe. I don't think Joshua retires either way, though, for some reason. I think Joshua continues for a little bit. I think there's a very good chance, no matter what happens with Fury, he retires after these two fights. I think Joshua more than likely continues for whatever reason. Yeah, the Mexican guy was fighting to put food on the table. Josh got kids now and earned his money, yeah? Butterbean versus Dave Allen. In a 4-rounder, I might go with Butterbean, I'm not going to lie to you. In a 10-rounder, though, you'd probably go Dave Allen. Tell's second channel is most anticipated by me. Yeah, I need to get a move on with that. I need to get a move on with that. It's coming up with a name, though. That's my problem right now. My strategy for Warrington will be to control Lara's head more with frames, not trade, to not get squared up and try and outbox him, getting in and out, as you say. Yeah, exactly. Very good. Very well put, Antonius. Yeah, man. Akhmadaliev, yeah. Headlining that card against Iwasa, the Japanese fighter. That's his mandatory. Good card, yeah. Yes, big up to Nordic, man. Yeah, it should be coming soon, man. I'm definitely it's in my mind. I just need to come up with a name once I've figured out a name, I can do the channel art and whatnot. Delboy's bottling it on the second channel. That'd be a great fight, man. Hagler versus Golovkin, one of my favorite fantasy fights. Two of the best chins of all time and both huge punchers. Would be incredibly entertaining. Yeah, that it would, man. Yeah. Blue collar things other than boxing TV. I like it. Big up to the Truth Son, by the way. Mate, respect to you. AJ is not going to retire. Name 4 channel, Swerves and Curves. Cheeky bastard. Big up to Truth Sons, man. Big up to Truth Son. Yeah, Hagler versus Golovkin would be a classic. There's a lot of parallels, actually, between Hagler and Golovkin in terms of how they started their careers. Both kind of avoided and had to do it the hard way, man. Had to do it the hard way. But again, big up to the Truth Son. Oh, fuck me. Audley Harrison versus Peter McNeely. That'd be banter. That'd be banter. I would actually go Audley, but, you know, Peter McNeely could punch a little bit, so you never know. Be a good fight, though. I'd watch it. Okay. Yeah, I guess Hagler was sort of fortunate to have better dance partners. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, that's it. It took Hagler a while, though, to get to that level. He was avoided for a long time. Same with Golovkin. When Golovkin got the fights, he was kind of, well, mid to late 30s. It's a shame. It's a real shame, to be honest. Like, Golovkin really should have had fights with Felix Sturm, Hassan and Dam, Darren Barker. You know, a lot of guys avoided him at one point in time. Sergio Martinez, another one. Dmitry Pirog, that would have been a great fight. That fight was made, but obviously Pirog got injured, got a back injury, and he retired. So Golovkin has had some misfortune in his career with opponents and not getting the certain fights at a certain time. Like, I wish we had Golovkin in these sort of fights in 2012 to 2014. This fucking computer mouse, man. Jesus Christ. I paid fucking good money for this and it's so sticky. Yeah, I want to see Benavidez versus Charlo, but I know that isn't going to happen. Yeah, Jamal Charlo called him out, started talking. Benavidez obliged. Now, all of a sudden, Benavidez has to take the vaccine. He's got to fight at a catch weight. And now Charlo's saying he's not going to fight anybody under 25, which David Benavidez is. So there you go. Listen, Benavidez has a lot of discipline issues, has to be said. But there's a reason why Jamal Charlo is getting cold feet. There's a reason why Caleb Plant has never been convincing when he talks about that fight. I think there's a lot of guys in that division who see Benavidez as a problem. Like, speaking of Canelo, why wasn't Canelo really chasing 168 when Benavidez had that WBC title? I think these guys know Benavidez is a bit of a wild card. He could be a problem. He throws a lot of punches, hand speed, good combinations, respectable power. He's a big kid. And I think he's a real fighter. Benavidez was sparring Golovkin at 15 years old, and he got invited back for numerous training camps. Like, this kid can handle himself. He's been sparring. He only had 15 amateur fights, Benavidez, but he's been basically, he basically grew up in a pro gym. He's been learning to be a pro from day one. He was never going to be an amateur. So I think Benavidez is a handful. I really do believe that. I think he's a handful. Pfeiffer versus Nick Webb, thoughts, good fight. It's a hard one to call. I've not really seen too much of Pfeiffer, and Nick Webb is he's an area level fighter, so should be competitive. I hate to say it, but the Povetkin white card is stacking up decent. I need to see it in full. Carlos Monzon versus Canelo. I say Carlos Monzon on points. How does Bentley versus Felix Cash go? Denzel Bentley, I think he's too versatile. He can box, he can bang, he can be a bit awkward. I would go Bentley, but it's a good fight. Very good fight. Crazed ED3, it's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that Matchroom's best card in 2021 or best cards in 2021 have had no female fights. Listen, man, you know it, I know it. Toby Plays, I heard somewhere that Hagler made something like $50 for his first fight. It's an amazing come-up story in boxing. Yeah, definitely. And, you know, with from people who knew Hagler, well, from what I see online, he was always kind of described as a real nice person, like real hard-nosed, but a nice person. Like after boxing, you know, after the Leonard fight, he fucked boxing off, couldn't take it anymore. You know, the guy got dicked around for a long time, never got the rub of the green for certain fights. And that Leonard fight was the final nail in the coffin. He basically up sticks, moved to Italy, and lived a quiet life. Yeah, that would have been a great fight, Truth Son. Would have been a great fight. Pirog, another one of those guys, man. I wish we got to see his career develop. Would have been so interesting. You know, he's in that mix with Edwin Valero, Ike Ibeluche, these sort of guys whose careers got cut short for whatever reasons. Who knows how good Pirog could have been. Yeah, I agree. Bentley beats Cash. I agree. I think he's too versatile. Bentley batters Cash. Yeah, I agree. Pirog took Danny Jacobs to school. Yeah, he looked great that night, Max. He looked so fucking good. So athletic, Dimitri Pirog. Power, the angles, the head movement, the upper body movement. Very good fighter. Very good fighter. Who knows how good that guy could have been? He would have definitely given Golovkin problems. I would have picked Golovkin, but listen, would have been a hard fight. Yeah, I've got respect for Hagler. There's no doubt. Like I say, he always came across as a guy with like integrity and honor and whatnot, and that's a rare thing, especially these days, bro. In the modern era, his word was his word, and that was really it. Came to fight. That's all you really ask for in fighters. Which is why I find it annoying when we see these modern day fighters say "Rest in peace, Marvin Hagler." Well, the best way to honor Marvin Hagler would be to take a leaf out of his book, fight everybody, stop complaining, stop being a little diva, just come to fight, man. Fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. Then you get your reputation. Then you earn the millions and, you know, become a star. That's what Hagler did. So I kind of find it annoying when these modern day fighters say, "Oh, rest in peace, Hagler." That was a brutal fight, Toby. Ike Ibeluche versus David Tua. Yeah, for a long time that held the CompuBox records for most punches thrown in a heavyweight fight. And Ike Ibeluche had a fucking incredible chin, by the way, because that guy got caught so many times in that fight by David Tua's left hook, and he fucking ate it up like minstrels, man. It's crazy. That guy had a retarded chin, Ike Ibeluche. Crazy chin, bro. Keira Knightley or Jessica Alba? Oh, Jessica Alba every day of the week and twice on Sundays. That's not even a question, bro. That's not even a question. Come on, you know me better than that, BG London. Come on, man. Come on. I'm surprised you even asked that. Ike was a better version of Mike Tyson. Jesus, that's high praise. That's high praise. Ike would have been interesting back in the late 90s because back then Holyfield was past his best, as was Tyson. I think Ike Ibeluche would have beaten those versions of Holyfield and Tyson. He would have struggled with Lennox Lewis due to the size, And the early Vladimir Klitschko in the early 2000s, pre-Emmanuel Stewart, Ike would have definitely had a chance. What I'm saying is, in the late 90s, early 2000s, if Ike's career continued, I think he would have held a title of some description. Keira Knightley was a little too skinny for me, personally. Leonard versus Mayweather, Del Boy. I'd go Ray Leonard, to be honest. I think it'll be a hard fight for Ray, but I'd probably lean towards Ray Leonard. I think the hardest fight for Floyd in regards to the old-time welterweights would be Tommy Hearns, because of that length and reach and height. He could punch over Floyd's shoulder roll with that right hand. I think Tommy Hearns is the worst stylistic matchup for Floyd when it comes to the 80s welterweights. Tommy Hearns would be a hard fight. Hard fight. By the way, lads, if you could smash for like, that'd be perfectly, be very appreciative. Very appreciated, sorry. I can't fucking speak. I'm so tired, man. It's because I'm hungry. I'm hungry as fuck. Yeah, Leonard could spark you out. Mayweather at 147 was a pure boxer indeed. Yeah, Leonard, a lot of like new fans see Leonard as like this flashy boxer, but Leonard could get really grimy, to be honest. He could get real grimy. Look at his fights with Tommy Hearns, how he was losing that first fight and he came back and knocked him out. Leonard could really turn it up. He could be flashy, he could be stylish, but he could really punch Ray Leonard. He could definitely punch. Exactly, yeah. Stop being a bitch. Fight in the ring like Hagler. Bloody chirping like chipmunks. They were all scared of Ike. Guy was a banger. The best came only one way, like a bull looking for a china shop. Big up to Truth Sons, man. Yeah, Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman is like the same person, doppelganger shit. Yeah, I've never been a big fan of either one of them, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I definitely would, but they wouldn't be on my like top 10 pound for pound most bangable list, put it that way. Yeah, I agree. XMB. I don't think so, Toby. I don't think so. See, I thought Hagler won that fight. The problem was for Hagler, he kind of threw away the first 3 rounds when he turned orthodox. I don't know why he did that, man. I don't know why he did that, but I felt Hagler won that fight. I felt Hagler won it. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up. It's nearly 8 o'clock. I've not had my dinner. I'm getting fucking super hungry. We've got some chicken ready. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you could smash the like, be much appreciated. But yeah, I'll try and get. Maybe I'll try and do one more stream this week. But if not, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Peace.